quorum, so they could have more than 3 minutes to clarify their positions with us. We'll go in alphabetical order. Each person will speak for 10 minutes, and then take questions from the audience for 5 minutes. Suzanne Couch and Julie Triplett will be timekeepers at that time. We'll not use up any of the time for the candidates to review their bios, which were handed out at the door. So let's get started. Erlene L. Toomey is going to introduce our first candidate. Here it comes. Take your time, take your time. Okay, we're working on a mystery here, but we're ready to go. Oh, okay.
Well, again, thank you for being here, and we don't want to take time introducing each individual person. So please do read the bios that have been provided to you, and therefore to give them the most time, we'd like to introduce Bill Haas and let him come right to the microphone.
Talk anyhow. Good morning. My name is Bill Haas. I wanted to introduce my new campaign manager, Eli Carabell. He's wonderful. They offered him the Hillary campaign and said he was going to wait for an even better candidate. You should know how to get in touch with me. I have cards at the desk. VoteHaas.com is my website. @VoteHaas is my Twitter. Bill Haas, Mo Congress, Bill Haas Congress Mo Second is my Facebook page. So there's 3 things this morning. I want to talk about my issues. I have 15 of them, and if the campaign goes any longer, it grows every day. If I do a third of them my first term, you'll probably let me go back for another one. Then a brief bio, although I know you have some. And then I want to talk about this race we're in with 4 candidates I'm more proud to run with than any office I've run before, and I've run before once or twice, haven't I? So, in the general election, you won't have time for 16 issues, so they're in order of priority more or less. Early childhood reading, if we can't teach our 3rd graders to read, what can we do? And I want to see Republicans stand between me and money for early childhood reading. That's not going to be pretty for them. Affordable comprehensive health care, including pre-existing conditions. Public service announcements. This issue is mine, and I can't get any traction in Missouri, so we're going to get some in D.C. Public service announcements and violence prevention hotline, asking people who are about to hurt themselves or others to come in from the cold and ask for help. People are basically good at heart, and no one wants to hurt themselves or somebody else if they're given options. And the cost involved will be the social service support when they make that call, which will be the hardest call they've ever made, because it's setting them up for one more disappointment than if they're thinking of hurting somebody. They've already had a few. We won't get them all, but it'd be wrong not to try. We're going to get a whole bunch of them. It's that mental health piece that we're missing, and it's an issue that Republicans and Democrats should be able to agree on, because it doesn't involve gun control. We're going to protect the entitlements of Social Security and Medicaid from Republican outsourcing. That's an issue Ann Wagner is vulnerable on, because they're going to be coming for your Medicare and Social Security that you're expecting and deserve to pay for that deficit they got for tax breaks for rich people. Money for college and ending current loans after 20 years is an issue that should resonate across the spectrum. Common sense gun laws, of course, you won't get them with Ann, who's taken money from the NRA for 3 cycles, 2,000, 2,100, 2,000. And the reason it wasn't more is because she's a sure thing for them, and that should resonate. You may have seen the article in the Post-Dispatch yesterday, that the issue that middle-class women care most about is safety. If you're not going to stand up for the safety of our children at schools, as whoever wins this primary commercial should run, and if you're not going to stand up for the safety of your kids at schools and separating children from their parents, when are you going to stand up? It should be a winning commercial. Hear that? Just in case. We need to address immigration issues with, among other things, investment in northern Mexico instead of a wall. Ending animal abuse on factory farms has been an issue that's dear to my heart for a long time, and yours too, I'm sure. We'll have to stand up to the farm lobby, and we're going to do it. Fair severance for workers laid off by outsourcing, mergers, and automation. You know, every month we read a new story about automation taking our jobs. Well, if you can't afford to give your workers a fair severance, then you're not going to be able to merge or acquire, and you're not going to be able to automate, and we could mandate that. We'll work out the details. 5% of your income for every year of service. Sounds good to me. Ending tax breaks for businesses moving from one jurisdiction to another, including sports teams, extorting one location against another for money the billionaires don't need, Walmart moving from St. Anne to Bridgeton and asking for public monies. Finally, there's a bill in Congress to prohibit tax-free federal bonds for that. And we need to stop that, and I'm intent to do that. More help for veterans, of course, including medical marijuana for traumatic brain injury. We need to legalize marijuana for medicinal purposes all across the country. That's basically a state issue, but we can get the feds off their back so that they can do that as they want to. And I hope to convince Donald that's the right thing to do if I can't do it from Congress. Addressing climate change, of course, that's a really big issue. You know, you'd rather be too early on that than too late. And some people are saying we're already too late. So I don't understand climate deniers. And we can do it in a way that's affordable, and we will. It's an important issue, and not an easy one. Investment in infrastructure for jobs and income equality, addressing the opioid crisis is complicated and needs to be done. And the issue that I've had on my list for a long time, and I testified at a state hearing on it about 10 years ago, nursing homes and extended care facilities. When my mom was in a nursing home in Minneapolis, she had family around her, the best nursing home in the country. She had a peaceful last couple of years. A lifetime smoker. She went 85 years. She did okay. I miss her. My sister, who lives up there, said, Billy, as good as this place is, Mom doesn't get the same care when I'm not here as when I am. So I'd like to see us, for those facilities, be required to have ombudspersons, not reporting to the facility, but to state or federal administration, representing the residents on whatever issues concern them. Somebody who checks in on them every day and sees what's going on. They're doing cameras now, a little intrusive, but that's okay. But ombudspersons would be good too. So, a little bit about me, you may know. Between college at Yale and law school at Harvard during the Vietnam War, I did community organization in Detroit and Chicago. After law school, while working in Dennis Kucinich's campaign for mayor of Cleveland, where I'm originally from, after he won, I was hired as an assistant law director for Cleveland, and it's where my political ambitions flourished. I first ran for political office in 1981 for school board in Cleveland. And then I moved here in '98, and 16 years later, I was finally elected to my first office, school board in St. Louis, where I've been now for 4 terms. And there may be people smarter running for federal office on education, but there's not a whole bunch of them. And we can't educate our kids. We're not going anywhere. I'd like to be known as the education congressperson. This primary, I won this primary 10 years ago for the 2nd District, the Democratic primary, and I showed well in the primary for Lieutenant Governor in 2016, and I hope I'm about to win my next political office by beating Ann Wagner for Congress this November, 21 years after I won my first school board race. So, at our first appearance last year, somebody said, "Bill, why don't you give up? You lose a lot." And I said a couple things. I said, if you're trying to get to be my campaign manager, I don't think you're going about it the right way. And second, I don't think I have some gifts for this, and I don't think God would have given me them unless she, as I like to say sometimes, expected me to find a place to use them. So it would be disrespectful to her to give up, and disrespectful to myself. If you believe in yourself, you should be persistent, because you never know what the plan is. So, 1 minute. All right, let me sum up this race. Whoever wins, you have to help them with a heck of a social media campaign. We have to take 1 out of 6 of Ann Wagner's votes away. She got 58%. That's going to be no mean trick for anybody, even with $1 million. You need name recognition, you need good issues, and you need to tell people what you stand for. I think I have a good chance to win the primary. We'll see. We've all been kind to each other. Mark has a lot of supporters. Court may have raised $1 million. So when I beat him, it'll make me look especially good going into the general election. Here's why I think I'd be the better candidate to face Ann, and I've mentioned it a couple times. I have the name recognition, I have the issues. My opponents have not even run for office, let alone won before. And whoever wins August 7th, I've been running commercials against Ann since January. So I'm beating her up pretty good. So if I don't win, it sets her up to be beaten by whoever does better. You're welcome. August 7th, if somebody else wins, no Republican will have ever heard of them. The chance of them taking 1 out of 6 votes away in 3 months, I think, is 0. But whoever wins better beat Ann Wagner.